Good morning, everyone. From Bucharest, Romania, from the campus of the Romanian American University, I thank you all for joining us today and welcome you to the Avatar and Future Society lecture. My name is Alexandru Tăbușcă. I am the Dean of the School of Computer Science for Business Management at the Romanian American University, and I will be one of the co-moderators of today. Please allow me to also introduce you to our co-moderator of today, Ms. Ana Maria Stancu. Ana Maria has been in the NGO field for more than 20 years. She was the executive director of the largest NGO in Romania on human rights advocacy and public policies, and is currently the CEO of Bucharest Robots, the first Romanian startup in the field of humanoid and service robots, and member of the board of EU Robotics, the European Association for Civil Robotics. Throughout her extensive work in the NGO field, and now as an advocate of robotics and automation, Ana Maria is constantly involved in gathering data and providing feedback on the social economical implications of the new technologies, such as robotics and artificial intelligence, and their potential impact both at national and European level. Ana Maria, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
I will now invite His Excellency, Mr. Hiroshi Ueda, Ambassador of Japan in Romania, the main organizer of this event, to deliver the welcome address to our participants. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Hiroshi Ueda, Japanese Ambassador to Romania. First of all, thank you very much for attending this online lecture featuring Avatar and the Future Society, inviting as a lecturer the most distinguished and famous figure in this field, Professor Hiroshi Ishiguro. I'd also like to express my gratitude to the co-host of this lecture, Romanian American University, which is holding the event Japanese Culture Days from today until this Friday. And I believe this lecture is the most ideal slot for the opening of the university's Japanese Days. As you might know, Japan is one of the greatest powers in the world of the robotic industry. According to the International Federation of Robotics, Japan ranked the third country in 2019 in what is called the robotic density in the manufacturing industry, the number of robots in operation per 10,000 employees. And not only the industrial automated robots, Japan is introducing service robots very actively, that is in the fields of medical care, healthcare, hospitality, education, security, etc. Nowadays, robots are utilized in all the phases of daily life of our society. The Japanese government started to advance what is called the Moonshot Research and Development Program, which promotes high-risk, high-impact research and development aiming to achieve ambitious goals and solve issues facing future society, and such as super aging populations and global warming. And one of the goals of this program is to realize a society in which human beings can be free from their limitation of body, brain, space, and time with harmonious empowerment by the year 2050. It is necessary for people with diverse backgrounds and values, including the elderly and those needing nursing care and children, to participate in society according to their lifestyle. And to realize their social participation, the society without the limitation of body, brain, space, and time through harmonious empowerment by technology is necessary. In order to achieve this, the technology cybernetic avatars is essential. Professor Ishiguro is the key person in this discipline, and from his lecture today, I am sure everybody will enjoy and learn a lot about the cutting-edge technologies of Japan from the near future society. Last but not least, this year, 2021, is a very special year, an important year for Japan and Romania, as it marks the 100-year anniversary of the diplomatic relations between the two countries. I hope this lecture commemorating the two countries' special centenary will be more than fruitful to all the participants here today. Thank you very much.
We thank you very much. We thank His Excellency for the warm welcome. And we now move on to the part that we are all waiting for eagerly. Please allow me to introduce our guest star today, Professor Hiroshi Ishiguro. Professor Ishiguro is a roboticist at Osaka University in Japan, and besides building many robots until now, his latest creations that look like normal people were the ones to make him famous all around the world. One of those is an android version of a middle-aged family man, himself. Professor Hiroshi Ishiguro studied computer science at the University of Yamanashi and later received a Doctor of Engineering degree in Systems Engineering from Osaka University. Following graduation, he began working as a research assistant in the Department of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, also at Yamanashi University. In 1992, he moved to the Department of Systems Engineering at Osaka University. In 1994, he became an associate professor in the Department of Information Sciences at Kyoto University, where he began research in distributed vision using omnidirectional cameras. From 1998 to 1999, he served as a visiting scholar at the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at the University of California in San Diego. And in 1999, as a visiting researcher at ATR Media Information Science Laboratories, developing interactive humanoid robots such as Robovi. In 2000, he transferred to the Department of Computer and Communication Sciences as an associate professor at Wakayama University, later becoming a full professor in 2001 before moving back to Osaka University. He is currently, since 2009, a professor of the Department of Systems Innovations in the Graduate School of Engineering Science at Osaka University, and the group leader of the Hiroshi Ishiguro Laboratory at ATR Intelligent Robotics and Communication Laboratories since 2011. His current research interests include interactive robots, android robots, and perceptual information infrastructure. His contributions to the field of robotics include publishing more than 300 papers in major journals and conferences, such as Robotics Research or IEEE PAMI, and the development of several humanoids and androids, like Robovi, Repli, Geminoid, Telenoid, or Elfoid. Well, with this short bio over, returning to our event, I remind you that today we will be introduced to the technologies of autonomous robots and avatars, which means remote-controlled robots, which Professor Ishiguro has developed. In addition, the idea of an avatar-inclusive society, which has been trying to achieve with the support of Japan, will be discussed. At this time, I will also have to make a short technical notice. All participants that are keen to ask questions for Professor Ishiguro are kindly asked to use the Q&A section you see on the bottom of your Zoom screen. Please write down your questions there, and we will select and address them to the professor according to the available time frame at the end of his presentation. So, without further ado, I will now invite the professor to start his lecture. Professor Ishiguro, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introductions. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we hear you very well.
How much time do I have for the presentation?
It's your time, it's not a problem.
Well, maybe the 15 minutes or something.
Excellent. And we shall take some questions and answers from you at the end.
Okay, I see. So I'm going to share the my PowerPoint slide. Can I share my PowerPoint slide? Could you allow me to share the screen?
From the bottom.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
That now it's working. Let me share which one. I believe I'm sharing my slide. Can you see the slide?
Yes, we confirm we can see Avatar and Future Society.
All right. So, okay, let me start my talk. So, hi everybody. I'm going to talk about the Avatar and Future Society. Well, I'm a professor of Osaka University in Japan, and I'm a project manager of a Moonshot project, and I'm a thematic project producer for the exposition of 2025 in Osaka and Kansai area. So today I'm going to talk about my research about the autonomous and the teleoperated robots, and I'm going to discuss about how we can change this world by using that technology, especially for the teleoperated robots. And actually, the avatar means the teleoperated robots, right? So that is the outline of my today's talk. Okay. So this is my dream, and this is what I want to achieve in the future. So I think the robot technology is going to be very important, especially in Japan. After 50 years, so Japanese populations is going to down to the half of the current populations, but of course, we Japanese people want to keep the quality of life. So how we can do that? Probably we have to use a lot of robots which support our life. So we call I call that society the human robot symbiotic society. As you can see in this picture, right? So robot is supporting the people in many ways in a daily life. So in order to achieve this human robot symbiotic societies, I have started my robot project in 2000. It was 20 years ago, and I have started my study with this mechanical looking robots. So my purpose was to develop a new research field with this interactive robots. Basically in robotics, we have two major research approaches. One is the interactions. One is the navigations. The other is manipulations. Navigation it means development of autonomous vehicle. And manipulation means development of manipulators that works in factories. Right? In addition to these two major research areas, interaction and manipulations, so I have established a new research area, which is called the interactions with this interactive robot. Okay, so the purpose of interaction is to develop the interactive robots with people and establish the technologies for supporting the people in a daily life in many ways by using the robots. Right? And then I have improved this robot in many ways. One is I have developed a very, very human-like robot like this and like this. And then on the other hand, I have developed these mechanical looking, a kind of a cute robot, right? So cute and small robots, these are very, very practical. On the other hand, and the very human-like robot, we can use this very human-like robot as and in two ways, of course, we can consider the practical use of this very human-like robot, but on the other hand, this is a very important. This robot is going to be a very important research tool to understand what human is. Okay, so why do we need human-like robot or humanoid robots? So my answer is not so difficult. It is quite simple. the human has a brain that recognizes humans. So the ideal interface for human is a human, right? Therefore, the information media devices, such as talking rice cookers, should be at least partially human-like. And conversely, to understand humans, the very human-like robots that is called androids are needed. Okay. So this is the reason. This is the reason why I'm interested in human-like robots. Human-like robots, of course, we can develop the many practical application with that, but at the same time, the very human-like robot can be a very important test bed to understand human self. So this approach is called constructive science with intelligent systems. Okay. So past brain studies have found that human intelligence comprises elements of memories, computation, inference, learning, etc. The challenge is to identify how these elements can be put together for realizing human intelligence. The constructive approach will reconstruct robots and android means a very human-like robots, to model humans, and use such robots and androids to study human macro level or meta level functions. If I simply say, so we develop the intelligent robots based on the engineering knowledge and some sort of psychological cognitive science knowledge. Okay, and then if we can develop the very human-like robot in some sense, that we can use that robot for studying the human macro level or meta level cognitive functions. So this is the very important approach, especially for deeply understand the human meta level cognitive functions. So for in robotics, we focus on the studies on the mechanics, manipulators, sensors, and image understanding and voice recognitions. These are very, very important elements for realizing the robots. But after this, we have to focus on the more higher level cognitive functions of robots and humans both, right? So for example, intelligence. We do not know about what is human intelligence, right? So of course we have a very, very rich technology of artificial intelligence, but unfortunately we don't know the human intelligence, and the current artificial intelligence is very different from the human intelligence. That is totally different, right? For example, the artificial intelligence need to have a lot of pictures to understanding, for example, a dog and a cat, right? How the artificial intelligence can understand a dog or cat, right? So if we give probably the 10 or 100,000 pictures, right? So artificial intelligence, artificial neural network can categorize and can recognize the cat or dog, right? So how, on the other hand, we humans, we do not need to have such huge number of pictures to understand the cat and the dogs. Maybe 10 pictures are enough, right? So that is a difference, fundamental difference, right? The human brain is more complicated, and the much faster, right? So the human brain does not require so much data for learning something, right? So we have to seriously study about the human intelligence, based on the current technologies and current knowledge. And embodiment means the body properties. If we want to have really intelligent robots, we need to study about the meaning of bodies. So that is the embodiment, right? So by using the bodies, So robot can have their own experience, and the robot can obtain the knowledge by itself, right? So we need to develop that kind of function. We need to give that kind of function to our intelligent robots. And then, the multimodal integrations. So far, we focus on the single modalities. So we have, thanks to the deep learning, we could have human level voice recognition and human level image understanding functions. But we have not totally integrated multiple modality like humans. So why human can quickly learn so many things? One of the reasons is we humans handling the multiple modalities simultaneously. We are learning the many things through the multiple modalities. So that is multimodal integration. Okay. So if we have a human-like robot, of course the robot is going to have human-like sensations, human-like modalities, right? So robot can hear, can see, and can listen, right? And the robot need to integrate all modalities. Okay, so the multimodal integration is also the very important research approach for realizing the human-like robot, human-like robots. And the intention desire, near futures, we're gonna have a fully autonomous robots and fully autonomous car, right? So when we have a fully autonomous robots and fully autonomous the car, and how the robot can decide, can decide the own behaviors, right? So that is that mechanism is intention desires. Thanks to the intention desire, we human can behave autonomously, right? So if we expect the robot behaves autonomously, we need to give an intention desire like humans. And then, if a robot could have an intention desire, we may feel the consciousness through the interaction with the robot, right? We don't know what consciousness is, right? This is a very difficult questions, but I believe the consciousness is going to be one of a very important research topics in the next decade. Okay, and if we can feel the consciousness, we may have more human-like social relationships with the robots. Okay, so this is the roadmap for my robot development. Right now, I'm focusing on the robot which has a single human-like functions, such as language teacher robots or order-taking robot at restaurants. And now we are trying to implement the more human-like function to the robot. And our final goal is to develop the companion robot, which has the many human-like functions. Okay? So these are examples, right? While we are using the interactive robots, interactive humanoid androids, in a particular situation and the purpose. Of course, that is quite limited, but I believe so. In the near future, we can extend that application area more and more. Right? So this is the relationships between the science and the technology, science and robot development, intelligence embodiment, and multimodal integration. These are fundamentals. So once we implement intention desire to the robot, provided the robot will be a very human-like robot, then the robot may pass the multimodal Turing test. Okay. So what is a multimodal Turing test? Probably you guys, you know, the Turing test. The Turing test is a test to compare the computer and humans, right? So we apply the Turing test to the chatbot. So chatbot is the text message exchanging system, right? So if if the people cannot distinguish which is which, well, they are talking with the computers or they are talking with the humans. If they cannot distinguish which is which, that means the computer could pass the Turing test, right? So we are extending that kind of Turing test to the robots, interactive robots. Okay. There, of course, I want to say that we wanna develop that can pass the total Turing test, but it's quite difficult. So the goal of a total Turing test is to develop the robot which cannot distinguish with humans, right? So, but it's almost impossible because we are using a totally different material from the humans for the robots, right? So therefore, you know, if we carefully observe the current robots, even if that is so human-like, like my Android, you know, it's quite easy, you know, to distinguish. But on the other hand, however, right, even if robot has the robot-like appearance, like these pictures, right? So if a robot, this interlocutor could have a human-like conversation with this robot, right? So the human interlocutor may accept this robot as a kind of a conversation partner. If he couldn't distinguish if this robot is operated by human operators and if a robot, you know, they're operated by computers, right? If he couldn't distinguish which is which, that means that, you know, this robot could pass the multimodal Turing test. So this robot has multiple modalities. This robot has the face, and you know, robot can have facial expressions, but of course it's a simple facial expressions, and the robot can speak, and the robot can move the body and head, and it can have gestures, right? So this is, so robot, they has the multimodal ways of representing their own intentions or own internal states, right? So the robot is interacting with the human interlocutors with multiple modalities. Okay, so that is the reason why we are calling this test the multimodal Turing test. But I believe near futures we can develop the robot which can pass the multimodal Turing test. So let me show you that kind of a very human-like robot. So this robot, you know, the closely related to these cognitive functions, meta-level cognitive functions. So by using the robot I'm going to introduce after this, we are studying these meta-level cognitive functions. Okay. The question is, can we develop a conversational autonomous Android? Okay. Of course, I'm going to say yes. And in order to develop that autonomous conversational Android, the important challenge was to implement the intention desire to the robot, to the Android. Okay. So, you know, as I said, you know, our purpose to make the Android fully autonomous. And then the pro, the Android need to have intention desires. This is the conceptual architectures for the human. So how human can have intention desires, the mechanism is so complicated, and it's quite difficult to implement the mechanism for the intention desires. But if we focus on the adult humans, okay, so we adult humans, we understand, we recognize our desires, right? And that desires can choose the proper intention to satisfy the desires. And in order to satisfy the intentions, we can choose the behaviors and utterance, right? So adult humans, we can consider, we are taking this kind of a hierarchical approach for the intention desire. And based on this approach, I have developed the interactive autonomous Android. And in order to develop the interactive autonomous Android, we need to develop the many subsystems, systems for sensing, system for recognizing things, and of course we need to develop the Android bodies, and so many subsystems we have to develop. And in addition to that, we need to have editors that we call it interaction composers. By using these graphical editors, we are developing the computer program for the human-like robots. And this is the in addition to the basic systems, we need to develop the many systems to make the Android human-like. This is one of the very important systems for making the Android human-like. So here we are sending the voice to the Android, and the Android analyzing the voice and generating a lip movement and head movement and gestures. Okay, so the system is very, very simple. Well, I would say it's convenient, right? So we don't need to carefully design the Android lip movement, head movement, and the gestures. What we have to do is just send them the voice to the Android. Then, the Android system create these human-like gestures and lip movement, head movements. Okay. So
ご飯を食べに行こうっていう話
this is
になって
another important
でどこに行こうか結構迷ったんですけど、結局、カレーを食べました。
and this is a function for the attentive listening. The interlocutor is talking to the Android. Android is just nodding and rephrasing, right? Actually, Android is not recognizing the human voice, right? But however, the Android can understand the end of a sentence, or the Android can pick up the important keyword, right? So this is the functions of attentive listening. If we use these functions, Android can continue the conversation even if Android couldn't understand the interlocutor's talk, right?
ただ、その勉強って本当に必要なのかなって思うんです。
いや、絶対に必要になる部分は結構出てくるとは思います。
先に話していいですか？
はい。
This is also the very important functions for the Android. So, usually conversation the Android does not recognize the human's voice while speaking, but and this Android is the recognizing the human's voice while speaking for this error recovery functions. The error recovery function means if they have overlap if they have overlap in utterances, the Android or human interlocutors need to say, may I speak first, right? So, and in order to do that, the Android is always recognizing human voice, and try to avoid the overlap of utterance. And this is the intention desires. This picture looks very simple, but actually the system is so complicated. And as the desires, we have tested many types of desires for the Androids, but this is our final answer about the what kind of a desire we should give to the Android. So we have decided to give two types of a desire. One is a personal desire, the other is a social desire to the Android. As the personal desire, we are giving the desire for building the relationships, and as the social desire, we are giving the desire for qualifying the relationships with others. So based on these two types of desires, Android can autonomously behave. And this is the mappings. Our system is so complicated, and we are developing so many the softwares for the Android. And this picture comparing the human brain functions and our Android functions. Right? It is not the perfect copy of human brain functions, but roughly speaking, the Android has the similar function to the human brain functions. And then this is the conversational topics we have prepared. The situations for our Android is to talk with the visitors in the lobby of our research institute, right? So Android always sitting in the lobby of our research institute, and then Android is having the casual conversation with visitors, right? In such situations, the Android does not need to have a deep conversation. Okay, so Android can have the casual conversation, for example, about the weather, for example, about the Android will ask like this, where are you from, and or what the purpose to come to this research institute or something like that. But we have prepared the 150 topics, right? And that includes a kind of a personal information about the Android. So anyway, Android is the switching the some topics according to the attitude of interlocutors and according to the status of their conversations. Okay, and this is the Android we have developed, right? So that is a so human-like, I think. The Android speaking the very natural Japanese. So now this is not recorded voice. So this is a synthesized voice. So we are using the high quality text-to-speech software. Right? See, that software can generate voice from the speech, right? And of course, right? So this Android is, I have designed this Android and carefully designed the facial expressions and the movement, everything, right? In addition to that, Android has the internal state to simulate own mood and likeness to the interlocutors. Right? And Android is by analyzing the interlocutors, the facial expressions, and so Android is simulating the mood and the likeness not just the facial expressions by analyzing the conversational patterns, right? The likeness means how much the Android likes to the interlocutors, and the mood means how exciting and the excitement of Android, right? And the blue graph shows the Android mood and Android likeness, and on the on the other hand, the red graphs shows the interlocutor's mood and likeness evaluated by the Android. Okay, so again, the Android is carefully observing the interlocutor's facial expressions and interlocutors' conversation patterns and attitudes, and guessing the interlocutor's mood and the interlocutor's likeness to the Android. And if they have good mood each other's, if they like each other's, right? So relationships is getting better and better. Of course, this is the Android subjective evaluations. And if Android considers their relationships is getting better, and Android will propose to talk about the something more personal, right? So anyway, so people can talk more than maybe 5 minutes, right? So usually the people talk about 10 minutes with Android. That is, the Android conversation, the phone answer. And we have invited the 25 subjects, and the 5 subjects, they said that this Android is teleoperated by humans. Actually, this is a fully autonomous Android. So that means that this Android could pass the multimodal Turing test for the 5 people, right? So this is, I think this is the most human-like Android in the world. And, of course, the people could feel the human-like emotions through the interaction with this Android, and the people could feel the consciousness in some sense. And, the many people consider that this Android has an intelligence. But actually, we do not know what emotion is, what consciousness is, and what intelligence is, right? So, but if we carefully analyze this Android, we may have some hint to understand these meta-level or cognitive level functions. So this is the constructive approach for understanding humans. So this Android is a kind of test of it, right? It's kind of a simulator of humans, right? By using this Android. So I believe we can understand. We can study about these the fundamental things from the meta-level cognitive the things functions of humans. Okay, so I want to talk the many things today, but I think I don't have enough time to explain everything. Then I wanna move on to the my current project. So by using technologies I have developed in the in the project of fully autonomous Android, I'm trying to develop the human-friendly avatars. Japanese government, we have a big goal. So in the future of 2050, we want to realize the avatar societies. Okay, so this is the moonshot, the goal of a moonshot project. So our goal is again to realize the societies in which people are free from the constraints of body, brain, space, and time by using avatars by 2050s. So my role, of course, is to realize this avatar societies, and and I'm calling that avatar societies, avatar symbiotic societies. Let me explain a little bit more about this, the avatar symbiotic society. The realization of an avatar symbiotic society where everyone can perform active roles without constraint. So this is the goal of the avatar symbiotic societies. This project aims to realize an avatar symbiotic society in which cybernetic avatars allow everyone to perform the active social roles without constraint through the operation of multiple cybernetic avatars that can fully transmit the user's actions, intentions, and reactions in scenarios which feature hospitality-rich dialogue. The user will be able to take part in various social activities, work, educations, medical care, and daily life, etc. By 2050, our lifestyles will have dramatically changed, and we will have the greater freedom in our choice of locations and how we spend our time, and technological advances will have the enhanced our activities. So our goal is to develop and implement avatar symbiotic symbiosis within balanced societies. Okay, this is more concrete imaginations. We're gonna use the avatars at home, right? So it's better, so it's better to do well, to study at home, to work at home by using avatars, right? So this is more convenient, right? But on the other hand, in a company and in the schools, right? So we may also use the many avatars, right? By using avatars, we can have a discussion with foreign students, foreign friends, and the foreign business partners, right? So if we use the avatars, so we believe anyone, including elderly and people with disabilities, will be able to freely participate in various activities with abilities beyond ordinary people, while expanding their physical, cognitive, and perceptual abilities using a large number of cybernetic avatars. Anyone will be able to work and study anytime, anywhere, minimize commuting to work, and have plenty of free time. This is the features that can be realized with avatar technologies. And of course, we're gonna develop the avatar infrastructures. We're gonna extend current internet infrastructures for the avatars, and then we implement the functions for monitoring the user avatars and for managing the avatar experience, right? So the system is going to memorize the avatar experience and reuse that avatar experience for the other avatars. And then we need to develop the hierarchical avatar corporations functions, right? So if people use the many avatars, then we can consider to coordinate many avatars for achieving some goals, right? And then, system need to assign the operators the avatars. Okay, so now we are seriously running this avatar project by using many technologies from our previous projects, such as the fully autonomous conversational Android project. Okay, and then we are planning to use the avatars in the world expositions in 2025, right? After 5 years, we're gonna have a very big event in Japan. This is the biggest international event after COVID-19, I think. So, so we may have another problem, another disasters like COVID-19 after this, right? But we need to have successful the exposition, the world expositions in Japan. How we can do that? Of course, we need to use the many avatars, right? Of the business partners as the thematic business producers, as the thematic producers. I'm going to use the many avatars in this the expositions. Okay, so this is the ideas. We are going to prepare, right, the virtual venues and the physical venue both, and we want to prepare the computer graphic avatars for the virtual venues and the robot avatars for the physical venues, and we're going to invite the people, right, by using avatars. Of course, you can visit by yourself to this World Expo. But if you don't have enough time to commute, so by using avatar, you can join to this expositions. Okay. So what kind of exposition we're gonna have? So as the thematic producers, my role is to show our future life with expanded life by the technology and science, right? So we may use, so we humans, we're gonna use the many technologies for supporting our bodies, like prosthetic arm and legs and the artificial heart, right? And on the other hand, robots, avatars, is going to be a more human-like, right? And we may feel a kind of a human-like life to the android and robots, right? So human and robot is going to be tightly coupled in the near futures, okay? And we may have this kind of a future life, right? So robot and humans is going to be friendly each other's, right? And the robot will be our partners in our life. So in the expo, I'm going to show that this kind of features where our life extended. We humans, we're gonna have an expanded life with science and the technologies. Okay, and then we don't know how we're gonna what kind of evolution we're gonna have by using science and technologies in a many after many years, maybe after 1,000 years and 10,000 years. But in the expositions, you know, the we're gonna show you the human evolutions via technology. So this is going to be a kind of artistic work, and we're gonna work with many artists and the musicians, you know, to have some impressive demonstration. So anyway, I hope you join to this world expositions, world expositions, and by using avatars, right? And then, you know, I believe that you can feel the possibility of avatar technologies, how avatar can change our societies and life, right? See, especially after COVID-19, right? And so I really think, well, the World Expositions 2025 in Osaka, Kansai area is going to be a very important opportunity to appear the technology of avatars and, you know, to to start the new the society that's supported by avatars, right? As I said, my goal is to develop the avatar symbiotic societies, right? And the human-robot symbiotic societies, okay? So, and then, you know, that we're gonna have a very safe and, you know, we're gonna have a very rich quality of life supported by our robots and avatars. At the same time, so we're gonna have many chances to think about the human self, right? In the beginning of my talk, as I explained, right? So by using the robot and human-like Android, so we can deeply study about human meta-level cognitive functions like consciousness and intelligence, right? So if we can see the many robots in our daily life, everybody can have a chance to think about the humans. I really think this is the our purpose as humans. Why we are surviving in this world? Because we are interested in the humans, right? Therefore, you know, the we are developing the many technologies to enhance our abilities, right? And we are always expanding the definition of humans by accepting new technologies, and you know that we are always thinking about humans. Right? We are not just surviving for eating and sleeping and buying something. The why we are surviving as humans in this world, because we want to deeply understand humans, right? And again, so robot and avatars is going to be a very important tools for understanding humans. So thank you for your attention. I hope you could understand what I want to say, and I hope that we could share the some important ideas about avatar and robot symbiotic societies. Thank you very much.
We thank you very much, Professor, for your insightful, complex, and visionary lecture. Without a doubt, it will be an inspiration and food for thought for most of our participants today. I will now kindly ask Ana Maria, or her avatar, you never know, as she is well into robots also, and we seem to be not very far from the day it will be difficult to tell. to take over and moderate the Q&A section of our event. Ana Maria, if you please.
Thank you very much, Alex, and thank you very much, Professor Ishiguro. It was really something to hear what you're doing there. Actually, one of the first questions that we had when we announced the event was, how would we know if we're talking to you or to your avatar?
Actually, sometimes it's very difficult, and I am creating the new version of my avatar that is so human-like, so similar to me. And some people say that it's quite difficult, especially through the video conference, right? Almost impossible. But in the near futures, I think we're gonna have that kind of a technology. Then we can. Well, how can I say that we can expand the possibility of humans more and more, right? So so probably next time I'm gonna give you my lectures by using my avatars. I'm gonna take a
This actually relates, it's more of a joke, but it's actually relates to one of the main questions that I have for you. Here in the European Union, there are some universities who are doing studies on human-robot interaction. And what they studied is what would be the best look for average citizens to interact with robots. And basically the results of their study showed that we need to have robots that look as much as possible to robots. Because they feel afraid to talk to someone or something and not know whether that is a robot or not. And regarding this, for example, we have now some talks in the European Union to actually have the chatbot that offers customer service on the phone to actually have it say in the beginning that I'm a robot. Because some customers don't actually know that they are talking to robots. So I'm not sure if this is a cultural difference that we have Europe and Japan, or whether or not you also had this issue there.
Basically, I think in near futures we don't care so much about if it is a robot or humans. So, for example, myself, do you have a doubt about myself? I mean, you think I'm a robot or not, right? You don't care about that. If we can have this kind of rich conversations, we can accept the robot as a kind of a conversation partners, right? So most important idea is material is not so important, right? So, what is the current agreement? So we cannot define the human as the materials. Even if I use a prosthetic arm and legs, I never lose my human likeness. Okay, so that means that we never define the human as the material, right? Therefore, we don't need, so if we have a robot that can have a human-like conversations, definitely we want to accept that robot as a kind of human, okay? So I really think so, right? So today we do not have enough technologies for developing the very human-like robot and very conversational robot. Therefore, the people thinking about that kind of a European Union like ideas. But if a robot became a very human like, and if we can have a very friendly relationships with a robot, right? So robot is going to be just a friend, right? People don't care about the material, don't care about the mechanism, right? So anyway, so that is my basic ideas. But I'm running the many field tests in European countries. So this is a picture from Denmark, right? you know, almost 10 years, I'm running the field test of my robots. This robot is called Terranoid. So I'm giving the kind of a neutral design, neutral appearance to this robot. You know, this Android robot, this robot is totally different from my very human-like robot. So this robot doesn't have similar the face to the humans, but this is this looks like a kind of a humans. Okay, I'll show you the a little bit different pictures. Okay, so this is the Terranoid, right? And this looks like a humans, but we cannot tell age and genders. In this case, the interlocutors, people is going to use their own imaginations. Okay, so and you know this, and at the same time, this Terranoid can encourage the conversations, especially for the elderly. These elderly, they hesitate to talk with other humans, but they don't hesitate to talk with the this Terranoid, right? I think this is a kind of general design, right? The most acceptable design for everybody. But of course, you know, the of course, children can accept this robot very well, but sometimes, you know, of course, we can consider to use this kind of tutor robots also, right? So my answer is, according to the situation and purpose, we need to choose the best appearance of the avatar and the robots, right?
Got it. Okay, now I have a question from the social media where we are also transmitting the meeting. The question is, if somebody will have 3 avatars, one for work, one for studying, and one for errands, how could we actually know exactly what they do? The studying avatar will be just a hologram, like which requires the individual presence linked to it from afar. And in the same time, we could send another avatar by itself to go shopping.
Yes. So the question is, if we have the 3 avatars, one operator, you know, is going to operate the 3 avatars simultaneously, right? So that is the question, right?
It still be us, but looking and seeing what they are doing.
I want to exactly understand the meaning of the questions. So if we operate the 3 avatars simultaneously, or the avatar is working for the one person?
Well, I think it not very clear to me if it got the idea that it's actually teleoperated.
Teleoperated, but one operator is operating the 3 avatars. Okay, so now, you know, we are trying to develop that kind of a technology in a moonshot program, right? You know, our ambitious goal is to develop the system. I'm not sure, like here, you know, whether this operators is trying to operate this avatars and this avatars and this avatars in trying to do the 3 things simultaneously, right? So if we can develop this kind of a systems, right, then we can increase the productivity very much. Okay, how we can do that? Of course, we need to integrate the autonomous functions and the teleoperated functions. That we need to develop some technologies. You know, if we use the autonomous functions of avatars, avatar need to report about the behavior history to the operators, and the operator need to quickly understand that an avatar's experience, and you know the operators, you know, and they operate the avatars. So this is the ambitious goal, and you know, so. You know, if we limit the situation and purpose very much, we can do this kind of things. Okay. Now we are running the field test. You know, just one person, one operator is operating the 3 robots or 5 robots, 5 avatars simultaneously for guiding people in a department store, right? So if we limit the task and the situation, we can do that. But you know, then we can the operator cannot have a kind of a general task, right? So that we need to develop more technologies.
It's a new definition of multitasking that we have now.
Right, exactly. But I know the most important things is how we can increase the productivity by using avatars, right? So if we can do the 2 jobs simultaneous by using the 2 avatars, then we can have a double salary.
That would be nice. Another question we have is, do you also take into account the possibility to use avatars to further extend human lives, maybe by transferring the consciousness into such an avatar?
I see. Unfortunately, my answer is no, it is not possible. What consciousness? Consciousness is not the well, it's not continuous. Consciousness is a kind of instant phenomena, right? So, I'm now conscious, but my consciousness is probably different from the consciousness of 10 minutes before, maybe one year before, right? It's just a temporal phenomenon. But I have a memory, function of a memories, right? Yeah. Therefore, I believe, I'm a kind of I have a kind of a continuous consciousness, but principally consciousness is not continuous. Okay, so therefore, if we give a different body, suppose we could have a perfect copy of a brain to the computers, but the robot, with that computer, suppose the robot have different bodies, different sensations, then robot may have a different consciousness. Okay, but of course, if we give a perfect the memory to the robot will say that I'm a Professor Ishiguro. Okay, but robot consciousness is not my consciousness. I'm gonna have a different consciousness. Okay, so the consciousness appears the individual bodies, and it's a kind of instant phenomenon, right? So explanation is a little bit difficult, but we can make a copy of my, in some sense, my copies, right? The probability the other people's may not distinguish which is which. Okay? But myself, I can clearly say that is not myself, right? My consciousness is here, and simultaneously, my copy robot will say, my consciousness is here, right? I'm independent from you, but I'm Professor Ishiguro. Okay, in the society, it cannot be distinguished, but in the subjective view, so we can clearly distinguish the consciousness, right? So probably you could understand what I want to say.
It's more philosophical, but we get it. And we also have 2 questions in the Zoom platform. One is from a professor from the Romanian American University, and it says, which is currently the main difficulty barrier in achieving satisfactory human-robot interface communication?
Well, in the communication, actually the autonomous robot, conversation robots, they cannot have a deep conversation. Okay, we have a technology of a chatbot, but the chatbot conversation is very simple. It's the one-by-one communication, one question and one answer, right? So a chatbot cannot have a deep conversations. The chatbot cannot talk about the philosophies, right? Chatbot cannot have a concept, right? So next big challenge is how we can implement the conceptual things to the robot autonomous conversational robot, and how, and then, we need to develop the more advanced conversational technologies that can handle the conceptual things. So that is a limitation. That is very, very difficult, and nobody knows how we can do that, right? So in other words, current technologies are kind of a fake technologies, right? So the robot is just mimicking the human conversations, right? And a robot cannot have a human-like or the conceptual thought, the human-like the deep emotions. Okay, so I am talking to you right now. Always, I'm thinking about a kind of a conceptual things. I'm, always checking my deep emotions. But the robot is not doing that, right? Nobody knows what emotion is, what concept is, right? So that is a big question. We need to have a more philosophical discussion, philosophical study, and then then we can make the robot more human-like.
Actually, my field is in political science, and we studied some political philosophy in university. But I never thought I could use that in the new field. I mean, in robotics. I always thought it's very abstract and rather boring for these days. But then I came into robotics, and I realized how very present it is in our lives.
Right. I explained about the constructive approach. Constructive approach is a kind of a copy technologies. So we try to mimic any kind of things by using the technologies, by using the computers and robot technologies, right? And we are trying to understand the humans. If we can represent the kind of conceptual behaviors of the humans, right? And what I want to say is that through the interaction with the robot, if people may feel the consciousness, may feel the philosophical things, right? Then we can have a very important hint to deeply understand about that in the robots, right? So.
Thank you. We have another question from Marina, who is actually now implementing in a city of Romania, is implementing a project to see how people, mostly elderly and young people, how they are reacting to robots. And she says, thank you for the fascinating talk. How do you see the status, ownership of these future avatars? Would they be social property to be used by anyone, private property, or no one's property? Perhaps the avatar status ownership would depend on the function that the avatar fulfills.
First of all, I want to say that I have started my startup this June for the avatars. I'm very, very serious, to develop the avatar symbiotic societies, right? I have gathered the how much is let me see, well, 5 million US dollar,
Not bad.
not bad for my startup company. And then within a couple of years, we may, we need to gather the more monies. So I'm very serious, right, to develop the real market with avatars. And the avatar is going to be maybe the individual properties. Everybody want to have their own avatars. But of course, the government is also going to, I hope, to keep some public avatars, right? And to encourage some sort of the public business with avatars, right? Public services with avatars. Right?
Well, especially if we're talking about vulnerable groups such as elderly or people with disabilities, I'm pretty sure that public support would be needed.
Right.
But as far as I know, Japan is sort of a state which is very socially responsible. So I'm pretty sure we will, if we will see that somewhere, it will be in Japan first. Now I have a few questions. Well, actually, we have one more. Please don't get upset or anything. It's, what is your opinion of the announcement of the Tesla bot?
I don't know about that. You know, they don't talk about the detail about it, right? So, but you know, I know that the you know, in Japan, the very good roboticists for the human-like robots, they are looking for the job because we do not have a big humanoid project Japan right now, right? And for example, Honda and Sony, they completely stopped, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm just guessing that probably, you know, the Tesla is going to hire that Japanese roboticist. So,
so what you're saying is gonna be still a Japanese robot.
Sorry.
Now I have a few questions of my own, since it's a very special occasion that we have you here. If you were to think of a movie or a book that would depict the life that you imagine with the avatars, what would that be?
The book and the movie? Of course, you know, the boss? Okay. Sorry, I cannot hear you.
Either a book or a movie, whichever.
Okay. So I recommend, of course, the Surrogate. Have you watched the movie? I appeared in the beginning of the movies, right? So that is my story. Hollywood made the movie is titled The Surrogate. Main actor is Bruce Willis. I appeared in the beginning of the movies, and then, you know, the main story is like this. Professor in Japan, he developed their own copies, and then, you know, he developed the real market of avatars, right? Near futures, everybody going to use the own avatar.
Did you have anything to do with the script?
What? Sorry?
Did you have anything to do with the script?
No. So, well, you know, they are carefully watching the my studies, and they, you know, they made a story that, right? But I would say that it's you know, the almost my story.
We have a new question in between, a question also from Zoom. How advanced is the actual robot consciousness? Is it more advanced than a cat's one? When do you think robots' consciousness will reach the level of the human one?
I cannot answer to that question. It's a so difficult challenge, right? You know, the consciousness is now it's one of the main topics in well, the cognitive science and artificial intelligence and philosophy, right? So many, you know, there is a very famous professors in Cambridge. You know, he is proposing the computational model of a consciousness, right? So, you know, but you know, we have just started the computational studies about the consciousness, right? And so that means that, you know, we don't know yet when we can have a human-like, we can have a robot which has a human-like consciousness. Sorry that I cannot answer to that question yet, right? You know, I'm trying, we are doing the similar research with others. I know we are running the project for the consciousness, to understand the consciousness, but still it's very far from the humans. And our first challenge is to reach to the some low-level animals, right? Like marmot or something, right? But not yet.
Okay, I have two more questions from you. For you, one is when making the algorithms for what the robots will do automatically, do you think we should implement the 3 laws of robotics? Are they important?
I see 3 laws of robotics is a kind of a general law for any kind of devices, and and the computers and some other and the cars, and need to follow that for the 3 laws. That is so fundamental. Probably humans, we need to follow that kind of a law, right? So that is just a general law.
I agree. Thank you so much. And my last question would be, do you think that by using avatars and having them interact for us, is there a threat that we will lose our social skills? Because we won't be actually interacting like we normally do directly.
Mm-hmm. I think my answer is no. We can have a more sophisticated interactive the skills with the people, right? For example, now we are using the computers for talking with you, right? We are not losing anything, right? So the important thing is that we can have many ways for the communications. Sometimes we use avatars, sometimes we use we talk the face-to-face, right? Sometimes we use the email, sometimes we use this kind of a Zoom, right? The humans, we are expanding the technology, the abilities, right? So we are going to have many choices for the conversations. So this is a kind of evolution of humans. Okay, so this is a possibility of humans by accepting technologies. So whether we can extend our abilities more and more, right? So of course, if you just use the avatars forever, right, and always, right, you may have some problems, but you may not do that, right? So sometimes you use the different tools for the communication. Okay, the most important thing is to have a variety of way of communications, right? To accept many kind of technologies, then we can enhance and extend our abilities of communications. So that is human evolution, I believe. Okay.
Thank you so much, Professor Ishiguro. It was a great honor to talk to you and get an insight of what you're doing. I will now pass on to Alex, who also has one final question before we end. Okay. Thank you again very much.
Welcome.
Thank you. I just have one very short question. I saw during your presentation the details for your current project, Moonshot, which is aiming for a 2050 target for a society, a symbiotic society. But because you mentioned your startup for avatars, when would you expect realistically that we would be able in Japan or anywhere else to go out and shop for an Android avatar at a dedicated store?
Okay, sorry, my startup, probably we don't develop the very human-like Android avatar soon. It's gonna be a very long features, right? We're gonna start with computer graphics characters, computer graphics avatars, right? And then we're gonna develop the real market to work with avatars, computer graphics avatars, right? And then we're gonna develop the small robots, okay? But they are human-like Android. It's gonna be a very expensive, okay? So, and I don't know that when we can develop the real market with the Android, very human-like robots. Maybe it takes more. My guess is maybe 20 years. So maybe it's possible. We may develop the avatar with the Android technologies by 2050. Maybe.
Let's hope. Let's hope maybe a breakthrough or something will help us get it sooner.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Professor Ishiguro, for your presentation and for your answers. Thank you again, Anna Maria, also. I think it has been an excellent day for sharing knowledge and maybe decipher the future. I am well convinced that robots and avatars will take their place into our lives. I hope rather sooner than later. I thank again all the organizers and participants to this event, and I'm looking forward to more similar events on this probably hottest topic of today's information technology environment. We also invite you all to follow the Japanese Culture Days at the Romanian American University. As the Center for Romanian Japanese Studies, the Embassy of Japan and their partners have prepared a lot of extraordinary things for you to explore during this week. Thank you all again, and I wish you to have a great day